Lupin's, that miniature painting coach, and we're back again today. Just a little bit more energy because I think the last few sessions I've been extremely tired. Alright, so where are we? Let's just make sure our camera is able to catch everything right here. And so I can sit a little bit more straight. There we go. So okay, yeah, we were working on the hair the last time. And we can see that we've got most of our grays in the right spots. Now this is still very far from finished. I think it's about like 65% still, 65 to 70%. And most of the long stretch will be from finishing and refining the miniature. And those parts of the I won't be recording those parts. I'll be recording up to the point where I get most of these spots filled out, which is the final details onto the model. You know, after I do everything on this model, I'll go ahead and post it up somewhere so that you guys can see it, and probably make a turnaround video and post it on this YouTube channel as well. Now, let's just go ahead and create those tassels first, because that's actually what I'm interested in doing right now. So okay, let's just zoom in. And we can see that, well, the tassels right now as they aren't quite fulfilled yet. So let's just go ahead and do this base color real quick. And I don't plan for this yellow to stick out too brightly, but it needs to stick out sufficiently to kind of contrast the environment, which is going to be the ground, which is a bit more yellow, yellowish and greenish, and so is the clothing. And we're also going to add just a little bit of purple towards the bottom here to contrast everything that's going on. Doop, doop, doop. Now, since we're already in the detailing stage, we can just kind of take it one step at a time and do things real slowly. So notice how I'm doing the purple and kind of spreading it out like this, is because in this way I can really get that tone to contrast against the ground, and I'll need it to be this way. Now I intend to create a water effect on the base of this model. Like I didn't place anything. I just kind of left it attached, so I am going to differentiate it using other ways. Let's just go ahead and do it like that, and then also we'll add some dark tones, some grays in here. Okay, let's just go ahead and use that a little bit. Add it on, kind of cool down the effect of the base. And this is gloss medium, but we're just using this gloss medium to kind of even out the surface so it's not too rough for us to work with. Because gloss is really good at evening out a surface. When you use matte medium on an already rough surface due to paint texture or just bad molding, you're going to just make the painting process more hard on yourself. So I always recommend putting on a gloss varnish first, a thick one, and then after it dries, you put on a matte varnish on top, so it feels more like a canvas feel to it, or paper. The surface, I mean. Okay, so we're also going to put a much more darker yellow on this. There we go. This yellow has been mixed with brown, which is why it's pretty bright. It's a lot more easier to work with. We're now just going to place the rest, wick it off, and then we're going to add this light skin texture to the bottom of the dress here, so that we can catch on some of the highlights from the top. It doesn't need to be too bright, but we just kind of dim it off. There we go. Then we'll go ahead and put a slight pink onto whatever these things are that's in between the tassels and the those weights at the bottom. I'm gonna add a magenta at the bottom here to kind of bring it up into the tassels, and we'll just kind of leave it in there. It will desaturate once it dries, so I'm not too worried about having too much on there for now. and we will be doing a metal finish on this. But for now, let's just go ahead and add a bit of a blue to the left side, and then a magenta, so we can make it pop just a little bit, have a bit of difference. Okay, and then we'll leave that be for now. Oh wait, and we'll also need to get some kind of a highlight going on, so use skin color for that. Put it over to the right. It's okay if it's a bit wet. We just kind of need the kind of like the idea of it. Oh, and because the bottom will be mostly water, we'll just need to add a bit of yellow like this. We'll put this as well. And the reason why we're doing this is because we are going to make it green here as well. And we are going to add this kind of orange a little bit here, because later on this will be reflections in the water, so we just want to get the color based off of that. Take a little bit of this green and place it at the bottom here. Okay. Take a bit of this dirty skin color and tone that out. There we go. And remove it. And then we'll also make sure to blend this part back into the miniature, because we had too much yellow the last time. Add a bit more of this blue to just kind of dim it down a little bit more, slowly dimming it down. There we go. Alright, so we'll leave that to dry, and then we'll work on some other parts for now. Let's work on what else about this staff. We're actually, the base of the staff is fine, because that's going to be mostly metallic as well, and we'll need to put on lots of other bright colors on it. We need to just make this part a little bit brighter, because right now it's a little bit too soft. The sleeve, I mean, and the underside. Oops. Bit of cat fur brush. There we go. Let's just go ahead and place this on. And then we'll just go ahead and add just a little bit. Oops, I have some cat fur still. Place a little bit of this red in here, like so. Whoops, sorry. And then we'll remove it. Get to the bottom. Take a little bit of this green. Do a small bite-sized annotations here. Going to the top. Do it a little bit more. And then we'll make sure to put this teal that we have. Add this magenta. Bring it to the bottom. Like so. Kind of blend that into a nice little indigo. Do a little bit more magenta. Whoops. This camera really bumped into me. Take a little bit more magenta again, and then just come it from the top here and bring it down. Okay. We want to make sure to clean up the top, so we'll take a lot more magenta this time. Put it at the top. We'll clean up brush, take a bit of that yellow, and we want to make sure to darken the yellow, so we'll add this. Oops, I have a lot of cat fur flying around. I wonder if my cat was fooling around my wet palette earlier. Tin out my paints. Staple it through. like so. Pull that magenta out a little bit and down. Okay. Then we are also going to darken it. So let's just go ahead and darken it a little bit more. Like this. Put this at the top. Make sure there's a flow in between. Okay. In and out. This gray spot. Now we are going to introduce this into our grays, and so the last time we kind of took this blue, dip in here, mix it in. Yes, this is gloss, but we'll just go ahead and dip in here first. And then we will add some skin color in that. Take this thick skin color and then add it in here and mix it in to create this strong gray. Okay, and then we're just going to grab a little bit, mix it around this part, add just a little bit of black in between the two portions. Take that gray, put it to the top, because you want to show that there's a loss of color on this side. Zoom in a little bit. Right, and then we'll go back to putting on this. And now we're going to take a little bit of this color and then just pop it on, just to have a nice go into that purple area to show that it's actually a red object. Okay, do it for here as well. Zoom out so we get that nice contrast between the it looks like purple but it really isn't, and then the teal on the green dress. And we want to make sure to lighten this area as well, because this light will be coming from through this area. So we will brighten it up just a teeny little bit. Let's go ahead and do it now. Do it like so. We take this green and we're just kind of using it as a filter, because this is the turquoise that we've kind of mixed together. You can notice that it's really strong. We just kind of take it a little bit and then place it on this dress on the top. Here. Make that separation. Bring in between. And we're gonna just build it up slowly. Oops. So not what I want. This side like so. Remove the paint, get some greens, put the green on, get just a teeny little bit of yellow, put it at the edge like this, get some skin color, dab it on as well, make sure it blends into the clothing, pop it up. Like this, and make it go upwards a little bit. So I'll just upside down the miniature real quick so that I can get this blend. See how now we're just kind of working on the parts of the miniature which we didn't quite get earlier. Make this pull going, and I'll even it out later. Doesn't have to be right now. Take a little bit this teal, pop it on this side, blend the two colors together like so. Okay, so now we can see that there's a shift here between the colors. Okay, we want to add this dark. There's a shadow here that should conform, and to make sure we get the shadow a little bit more clearly, let's just go ahead and do this. So darken everything from the bottom here as well. Okay, now we have to kind of do this hand as well, because that hand is going to cast a lighting on it. We've kind of missed that shadow, so you just kind of draw a shadow down here. It goes and envelops our hand a little bit. And on the other side, well, it doesn't need to be all that saturated, but we just do it just by teeny bits and amounts. So like this. We're just trying to make the give off the impression. We're not trying to actually paint it. Too harshly. And on this side as well. Just adding that blue in. Or rather that teal. And then we want to lighten that arm section on the opposite end. Do I have cat fur on this skin? No. Doesn't seem like it. Well, it seems like a cat fur like everywhere. Okay, here. So we're gonna lighten that dress. Oops, sorry. Okay. Now, we want to make sure we get this lighting a little bit more accurately, so any part that doesn't follow this lighting on the miniature now, we're just kind of do a pass. So first off that I see is there's not enough contrast of darks over here, so just take a teeny little black. Oops, sorry, and then we'll go ahead and blacken out this part of the miniature, kind of just draw it boldly. Just try to create that finish. And gotta make sure, be careful, because blacks tend to be really satin, so later on we'll just need to varnish it out. Over here, we want to make sure we get a bit of black in this space. Okay, and then we want to make sure to let's just go ahead and focus on this, and then we'll go ahead and do the skin on the hand finally. Just put a little pink here, the surrounding part of the bottom of the hand. We'll put a bit of skin texture in between, kind of glaze it upwards and outwards, between like so. Okay, and we can see the crevice of that shadow in between is not particularly dark, so just go ahead and do that right now using a magenta. Alright, so here we'll be using a magenta as well, and now we want to go ahead and add a bit of a blue, sorry, not blue, say more closer to burnt umber. So take this this blue, we'll place it here. Sorry, this black. We'll take our inks and we'll kind of douse it here a little bit more. And to really make that a lot more thicker, we'll take a bit of turquoise and a bit of magenta. Mix it all together. And we get this kind of like a dark blue color. We're gonna add just a bit of yellow into that. Okay, have this kind of like blackish brown. That's how we get our black. And then we're going to, let's take a little bit of moisture from this, mix it in. You have a bit of a greenish thing. We're gonna add that teeny little thing into our shadows on her face, so that you can really properly darken it, and make sure to get the darkened part of her face to really project that, her clothing, because the clothing is green for the most part, and we want to make sure that we get in between the areas that really matter. Now she's still really pale as it is. It's because she doesn't have enough brown in the skin. So we're just gonna take this that we've kind of mixed and then add it between the areas that really should matter for the shadows. And here, through here, there should be a shadow around here. And notice how the skin becomes just a little bit of green, and that's fine. It's not so much green, it's actually brown, but the surrounding colors, especially on the skin, are making it look that way. So kind of paint her face to be a little bit more dark. Remove it just a bit. And have we gotten it to the right brightness? Not really. So we need to add just a little bit more of this. I'm just stipling on so it doesn't become too wet, too washed over her face. Stipling a little bit with a dry brush across the face really slowly to kind of create that shape of a jaw and the cheekbone. Take a little bit more. Going over those areas. So now we actually have a much more accurate color on the face. And then we're going to actually add a little bit, just a little bit of this reddish towards the top to create depth of a shadow with a much more warmer color. Push it in so we can soften it. Take a little bit more, soften it and rid it out. There we go. Okay. Is it good enough? I don't think so. We need to take just a teeny little bit of magenta. Just kind of take the fringes over here, make it wet, and add it to her face. Go at it really softly. Okay. And we also want to make sure we skin out her skin, because right now it's a little bit too pale. So make sure we thin out our skin paint so it's not too thick. Remove any cat fur along the way. There we go. So now let's just go ahead and dab this on here. And we are going to even the paints while we do this. Just kind of glaze it on her face. Really small, careful amounts over here as well. You also want to add a little bit of a shadow coming from the top. Do we need to? Oh no, we don't. Okay. Let me see what else do we need to add on to this miniature. We need some skin tones on the top here. It's mostly just on her knuckles. You don't really need it for the whole hand. I can make sure that focuses right. Can we see it? There we go. Bottom here as well. Just to make sure her fingers are readable and sticking out. Okay, which is great. Then we want to put this on the bottom. Feather this upwards. And we also want to make sure, whoops, keep hitting this thing, wow. We'll make sure we highlight the opposite side of her boob a little bit more, because it's way too much in the dark. Cat fur. Okay. And then we just want to add just a bit of annotation to contrast that at the side. A bit more. There we go. Okay, so there's a proper highlight and a proper curvature for that into the shadows. Okay, what will be the color of that sword hilt? Let's just put a typical orange underneath first, so that later on we'll just add a much more refined copper. Just kind of put it on this end. Okay, and then we'll blue that out in a bit, but we just want to have the undercoat just on the sides. This hilt as well doesn't need to be too thick. Later on we'll cover it anyways. Okay, let's put this, clear it off. Add this gray to our bottom here. Add just a little bit of green into that. Make sure to add back our indigo. And we want to darken this as well, so let's take this, darken it in. There we go. Oh, where else do we need to base otherwise? Oh, we need to also take this gray and place it here towards the side. Let's not be too saturated. Okay. And oh, there we go. Oops, let me see. Let's see how our miniature looks like right now. Okay, so we actually have gotten most of the tiny bits on the miniature out of the way. There's still much more stuff left to do in there. Ease the coat, ease her dress, and change, correct the highlights a little bit here, and then refine the staff. But we've actually got most of our miniature kind of like done as far as the base goes. I actually have quite a treat to do for the staff, so well, we'll just leave that for another time. So first off, guys, thank you for watching, and remember to learn from others to discover more of yourself as a painter. Alright, so take care. Toodaloo.